to meet you. I've been following you for quite a while.
Oh, stalker.
Indeed, but I've really appreciated the work that you did. I didn't have any of your Akai products, but I bought a number of your Arturia products. I remember the first interview that I saw with you about the original Beat Step.
Oh yeah.
And how you were talking about it was probably one of the ones that you did with Ken Flux Pierce.
Might have been, yeah.
But you were talking about how originally, you guys were trying to create a controller, and when you looked at the layout, you said, this is a natural to go for a step sequencer. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you did that, and like the Beat Step Pro never would have existed.
Well, there's a different story behind it, really.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, the real story was I wanted to make a step sequence. I wanted to make the Beat Step Pro, but I knew that none of the dealers would say, oh, here, I made a step sequencer.
Should we get out of the way in case somebody wants to use that?
You're fine.
Okay, sorry.
So if we tried to go to the larger dealers and say, here, we got a step sequencer, they go, okay, yeah, good, we don't want it.
Who cares?
But the big dealers sold pad controllers. I did the LPD-8 when I was at Akai. We sold thousands of those. So let's make a step sequencer and we'll disguise it as a pad controller. So we go to the dealers and get them in, and now they go, oh, cool pad controller. Oh, by the way, it's also a step sequencer. And they're like, wow, we're selling tons of these things because of the step sequencer. I said, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to take our Beat Step Pro?
Now that you've seen that there's a market for it,
so there was a strategy to
brilliant.
Get it into the mainstream market.
Exactly. You knew that the customers wanted it, but to actually
that's the thing.
Convince people.
Some of the dealers told me at one point, they said, nobody wants a non-programmable monophonic analog synthesizer. They flat out, I said, no, we got this many brute things, people want this, No, nobody wants it. And so we came out with it, and some of the big dealers didn't order it at first, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, now we need to have them.
Well, when you say non-programmable, you mean like non-preset, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because that's
non-programmable monophonic. Nobody wants that.
Why would anybody want something that only plays one note at a time? Yeah. Oh no, that was the first Arturia product I got, was the Mini Brute.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely fell in love with it, and then of course I wanted to get the Beat Step, but I ended up getting a used one, and one of the encoders was fiddly with it, and then you guys announced the Beat Step Pro, and I said it was meant to be. And then I got that, and I've just been so pleased with that.
Cool, thank you.
And of course, seeing like the chants and the ratchet, I can see certain things with the arpeggiator that you were experimenting there with the Beat Step Pro, just from an interactive performance standpoint.
Right.
This thing is a beast. When this pounced onto the market, when we first heard about it, was it Tuesday?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's been a month. So much has happened in the last few days, but I've watched hours. I mean, mostly Ken put up so many videos about this.
Ken did a lot of help on this. When we were doing the filters, he was like, oh, you got to check out the Thriller filter. I'm like, what's the Thriller filter? Oh, Ian Fritz's Thriller filter is the best filter ever. So he gives me some recording, and I'm like, oh, that thing sounds awesome. So the way that our DSP engineer, Chen, his background's in machine learning and AI. So he came up with a machine learning program. What we did is we record noise into the filters, white noise in, and record 11 positions of cutoff and resonance, so 11 times 11, build the audio files, and he'd put them into his machine learning program, and he'd build the profiles of the filters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Chen's a freaking genius.
Kind of like how,
And so I said, Ken, if you want to do this, we need 11 times 11 positions. He's like, I'll do it. So yeah, Ken did the Thriller on here for us. And they did a bunch of presets too.
Well, and the fact that you've got 11 different filters to choose from there on the first filter, and then you've got the state variable on the second. No, having two filters is something that a lot of companies haven't actually realized how important that is.
Yeah.
Especially if you've
and
got
being able to run them series or parallel.
Oh, well, yeah.
Opens up so many things. The big thing for me is most of my programs, I really didn't even use the filters because I was doing so much with FM or wavetabling.
And the mutators.
I mean, building your own wavetable, you can kind of create all these filter types of effects. So, and then bypassing the first filter, going through the second wide open, allowed me to do filter stuff on the first one with other stuff. So it's like you can create really complex sound.
Oh, yeah.
There's one sound, and I forget which one it is. might be called Particle Forest on our web stuff. But I just wanted to see how much can I do in one patch. So I had like one thing was playing a step sequence on one oscillator, I think on the third one. And then I had like noise generator would come in and fire at different times off of a looped envelope with the long delays. And then two different things going on here. So I had like this one note wonder. And I put no key tracking on the one that had the step sequences. So it just kind of plays in the background. And then you have these chords that you can play over it. It was just like okay, how much can I do in one package?
Well, there are so many things here that make so much sense. The fact that you can navigate the synth architecture so quickly, I mean, that's like a nod to the Ensoniq instruments way back.
Which is funny because I never owned one of those.
Really?
But it's close to the Oberheim expander, which I did own.
Oh, yeah, right.
So the expander, you hit the oscillator, hit your filter, you got your 6 knobs here. So it's really, for me, it was a nod to the expander, but then you look at an Ensoniq, it's like, oh, that looks just like the Ensoniq.
But yeah, the expander too, absolutely. I actually used to play Matrix 12, which was like
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I sadly don't own anything like that, but I do have a couple Matrix 1000s that I have.
Which are great sounding.
Oh my god, and I updated the firmware on those, so it actually responds to syntax in real time, because there was quite a delay with the original firmware on those.
Right.
So it actually is a much more programmable instrument. Sorry? Grain.
Granular.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna have grain. As much as I absolutely adore the architecture and all of the different engines that you have on here, I have a question.
Sure.
Is there any possibility for future expansion through firmware to maybe other architectures on this?
Probably not, because it would be like, you've got a hybrid car and you go, yeah, but I really want a V8 in here.
Well,
and it would be like, okay, well, let's redesign the whole thing.
The only one thing I was missing out of this, and there was so much here that was perfect, was a granular synth engine. And it seems like with the digital
with
architecture,
the single cycle waves, we won't.
You won't be able to do that.
You're not going to be able to do granular or sample loading, because it would be a restructure of the oscillator itself. To be able to do the FM and the other stuff, there's reasons why we have to do the oscillator the way it is.
Okay,
it
fair
can't
enough.
just be an audio.
Well, I love the fact that you can choose, you pick and choose whatever waves that you want to then go through those and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
See, that was my dream back in the 80s. I always wanted a PPG and a waveform, and I could never afford one.
Right.
I mean, that was like my holy grail, and it's like we can finally do one here.
Yeah, Wolfgang Palm was
a
total pioneer there.
The Microwave XT is one of my favorite synths.
Oh my God,
It sits prominent in my rack.
Oh, really?
And I always loved the thing.
You got one of the orange ones with the extra voices in it
No, I
and all
don't
the
have the
knobs.
extra voices. But,
That's definitely one that I'd find for. I mean, the original Wave, of course, but how many of those were made, right?
Yeah. 12.
And then finding one in really good condition that somebody wants to part with, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, good luck on that.
But honestly, you've addressed so many of those desires with this, and then putting a polyphonic aftertouch keyboard with that ribbon controller on there.
Like the second patch is really kind of my nod to PPG. If you listen to that one, play one of those notes, and it's my nod to PPG.
Do we still have the audio going in? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Unless you wanted to step in,
You're absolutely right.
But then I made it where you could bring in FM and some of our ASM mode as well. Go crazy with it. Sit down and play with them.
I know I've heard a few people wishing that it was 61 instead of 49 keys, but I'm sure that would have kicked up the price and
definitely kicks up the price.
And I don't know.
One of the difficult things in the market is selling 61 note key bed. So whether it's a MIDI controller or whatever, a 61 sells about 1/6 the number of 49s.
Really?
Yeah, it's personally my favorite is a 73, 76 note keyboard.
Sure.
So if I could say I want to build my thing, I'd build a 76.
But you want to be able to have something
But
that
you have to be able to, one, you have to be able to sell it, and you have to be able to afford it. When you get longer, too, the other problem that you get with structure like this, especially with polyafric, is you have to keep the torsional stiffness as well as the flexibility. So then it ends up, we've already got really heavy steel. I mean, if you pick this thing up, it's a beast. So we got a very heavy steel chassis, and part of that's to keep the torsional stiffness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd have to reinforce it even more. There's no torque. No.
But yeah, so then it's not just the extra expense of the chassis and the key bed, it's the extra expense of how do I reinforce this chassis?
Absolutely. Well, and honestly, I understand the length, having like that 72, 73 note key bed, but how many of those do you need? I mean, do you want one of those for every single synthesizer you have? I don't have 2 extra expansions on my house to do that. I mean, yeah, I'd love it, but I'm kind of cramped into a corner of my basement studio at this point. So
yeah, I've got a Prophet T8, and I love the size of the key bed, and I love the polyafric. So I use the feel of the polyafric touch as a model for this. I've also got an Insonic TS10, and it has polyafric, and it feels horrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to basically be able to do handstands, and I can't do them because I'm too old and fat.
I noticed that immediately. You could, because the beauty...
I want to be able to use my pinky finger and sit here and get polyafric touch expression.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to hold a chord and just rock my hand and get it, or just do little bits.
And I mean, for those of us that have some control, but it's not something we've done before, the whole concept of having a key bed where you can just apply a little bit of pressure here or there and it actually works, as opposed to, I mean, there are different muscle memories you're going to have to develop, not having been able to experience that before, but I found it very natural to start, and just to do a quick demo of like arpeggiating through with the chord that I was holding, that aftertouch, and it's like, yes, that is polyphonic, and it's really working, and it's not, it doesn't require such extra force that it's painful or something. No, you did a wonderful balance on this.
Like on the T8, your hands don't get fatigued, and on this, your hands really don't get fatigued. On a TS10, you get it in your knuckles. You're pushing down on the thing. I mean, because it hurts how much force you have to put on it. So we kind of maximize the maximum amount of force that we have to do is it's 2.25 kilograms. And it comes in at 0.25 kilograms.
Yeah, I noticed that because even with channel aftertouch, the fact that so many instruments, when you start to apply it, it goes from that 0 to 127, bam.
Yeah, so
and it's like that. You need that nuance in between.
So when everybody says, "How come nobody's done polyaftertouch?" Well, I've been trying to get it when I was at Akai. I tried to get it. I tried it at Arturia. But none of the companies that we work with to do key beds could do it. So now I work at a factory that makes key beds, and it's like, okay, well, we have to have, at least this much throw for the poly aftertouch. It can't be just like an on-off switch, which it is in a lot of regular aftertouch.
It is.
There's got to be throw on it, a certain amount of give on the key, and it's got to be even across it. So one of the big things we have to do is we calibrate each and every key at the factory before they go out. Same thing on our pads. We calibrate every pad before it goes out, and it writes the calibration and the firmware.
So brilliant.
So now that you've got a great key bed, could there be a controller in the future with that?
There could be all kinds of stuff in the future. So yeah, I mean, we're looking to build the brand, and so I'm looking at what I can do and what I can, where we can go.
Well, considering this is your first entry, now granted,
now follow that up.
that's going to be tough.
Yeah, well,
but I'm sure with your ideas and certainly with your past, you've got plenty of other things to bring to the table and build upon this wonderful instrument.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to follow it up nicely.
Well, you look like you're in full production, right? I mean, when
we actually
start one of these?
We actually start the mass production on the 25th of this month.
Okay.
So it'll take about a week for the first production run, and then they get on ships. So if the ships don't sink, they should be hitting stores around November 1st.
Oh, good. So it can be a Christmas gift.
Yeah, Black Friday.
There you go. Wonderful. Well, once again, Glenn, an absolute delight. Thank you so much.
Something about audio cords. Like you can wrap them up as neat as possible, and then you throw them all into a box, and they somehow all like wrap around each other.
They're trying to mate.
I think so.